So this portion I have taken from Griffiths because that has a very nice derivation, and plus it gives you some physical intuition as well as to how the equations have been written. Okay, so you can read this portion from Griffiths. All right. So in an hydrogen atom, we know that there is one electron and one proton, right? And the proton is in the nucleus and the electron is orbiting around the proton, right? So, and then the distance between the electron and proton is some distance r, right? So the electron, since it is orbiting around it, and since there is a radial distance, and since there are only two particles, and also the fact that the proton is uh, more localized in space compared to the electron, right? The electron is like moving around the proton, but the proton is, of course, it's a quantum particle, so it cannot be at a fixed position, but it is more localized, right? It is inside the nucleus. So we can assume that with respect to the electron, the proton is almost at the origin, okay, and it is staying at the origin, and the electron is now moving around this origin. Okay, so and the distance between electron and proton is r. Okay, so if the electron is moving around it and the distance is r, we can see that there is some spherical symmetry to this problem, right? Because the electron is moving like in a sphere or in a circle, and but it is a three-dimensional, so you should consider it like it is moving in a sphere. Second thing is that the proton is almost fixed, so we consider it to be at the origin. And then we say that what is the mass, right? The mass of electron is much smaller than the mass of the proton, right? So essentially what is happening is that the reduced mass, okay, the reduced mass is also the more closer to the mass of the proton, okay. So in that sense, we can reduce this problem to the problem of an electron moving in some distance about the origin. Okay, so the problem gets reduced. So originally it was a two-particle problem. Okay, but now because of all of these limiting cases, right? Because the electron, the proton is at the origin, the proton is much heavier, and the distance between proton and electron is some distance r. Because of all of these things, we can consider that this is a problem more about the electron or about the reduced mass of these two particles. Okay, so we are reducing this problem into a problem of one particle. Okay, so now when we reduce it to the problem of one particle and the particle is moving around the sphere, then we can go to spherical coordinates because there is a spherical symmetry in this problem. Okay, when we looked at particle in a box, you remember in the 3 dimensions. Okay, I think, okay, fine. I guess I will talk about that later. So let's talk more about this. So what I've written here is, so hydrogen atom has one electron, one proton. Electron circles around the proton, and compared to the electron, proton is motionless. Okay. So electron is held in orbit by the mutual attraction of opposite charges. That is pretty clear. The proton has plus E charge and electron has minus E charge. All right. And then there is a distance r. So there is a potential that the electron is feeling because of the proton. And what is that potential? That potential is the Coulomb's potential. Okay. And it is given by minus E square 4 pi epsilon naught into 1 by r. Okay, so this epsilon naught, okay, this is the permittivity of free space. Basically, it means what is the, how much electric field can a vacuum permit. Okay, so that is what this quantity will give you. E is the charge, right? And this is some 4 pi is some constant and 1 by r. So the potential that the electron feels because of the proton varies as 1 by r. Right, which means what? So if it is inversely proportional to r, it means that when r is very high, when electron goes very far away from the proton, it will experience less potential energy. And when the electron is very close to the proton, it is going to experience more potential energy. right? That's what this potential energy, this term, that's what intuitively, that's how you would understand it. And that is the correct way, right? Because if obviously if something goes away from its opposite charge, it is going to feel less effect of that opposite charge, right? And if it gets closer and closer to the opposite charge, it is going to feel more effect of the opposite charge. Okay, so this is the potential that is acting on the electron. All right. So in our model, okay, we will picture hydrogen atom as a proton fixed at the origin and an electron with reduced mass interacting with the proton through this potential, okay, through this Coulombic potential, okay. So I think I've already written all of this. All right, so R is the distance between electron and proton, epsilon naught is the permittivity of free space, E is the charge of the proton. All right, so now that we have defined what are potential, so in the hydrogen atom, the main thing was the potential energy. Okay, because we already know what the Schrodinger equation looks like, right? It has the kinetic energy term, which is minus h cross square by 2m del square, right? And then it has the potential energy term, which is V of R. In this case, V of R has this particular form. And then that operates on a wave function to give you energy into wave function, right? So that is the Schrodinger equation. So only thing that is different is the potential, okay? So we have to take into account the potential of the electron in this hydrogen atom. And now we have to solve the Schrodinger equation. All right. Please stop me if something is not clear. Okay. Okay. So this is our Schrodinger equation. So we have written, so instead of minus h cross square by 2m, we will use minus h cross square by 2 mu. Mu is the reduced mass. Okay. What do you mean by reduced mass? I think I've written it somewhere. So basically, it's the 1 by mu, this one. So 1 by mu is equal to 1 by mass of proton plus 1 by mass of electron. This is the formula for the reduced mass. Okay, so mu is your reduced mass of the electron. And here we have to consider del square. Instead of dou square by dou x square, we have to consider its three-dimensional variant of the operator, right? Because this problem, in this problem, we are dealing it in terms of 3 dimensions, right? Because there is an electron, like you are assuming that there is an electron cloud, right? And that is around the nucleus. So it's like a sphere around the nucleus. Okay. So in that sense, we have to deal with it in terms of 3 dimensions. And so instead of just taking dou square by dou x square, we have to actually take dou square by dou x square plus dou square by dou y square plus dou square by dou z square. And that is nothing but your del square, right? So we have to do minus h cross square by 2 mu del square psi plus V of R into psi is equal to E psi. So this is our Schrodinger equation that we need to solve. Okay, so now of course we will go through the full solution of how to solve this. But the point is that in any of these problems, right, the main thing reduces to what is the potential. How do you define the potential? And if you're able to define the potential, then you will be able to solve the Schrodinger equation. Okay. So here we now know what our potential is. We also know that it is in 3 dimensions. So we have to take the del square operator and then we write down the Schrodinger equation. Okay, so del square I've already told you is this equation, right? And we also learned this in the math methods course, that this is what del square looks like. All right. So what we do, this is obviously in terms of x, y, and z. Okay. But because there is a spherical symmetry, right? Because the electron is first of all moving around the proton in a spherical manner. And there is a radial distance between the electron and the proton. So essentially there is a spherical symmetry. And so what we can do is we can reduce this problem. Instead of solving it in Cartesian coordinates, we can solve it in spherical coordinates. Okay. So I will urge you to go back to the math methods course and look at the spherical coordinates if you have forgotten it. Okay. But what are the spherical coordinates? Can someone tell me
Excuse me,
what are
ma'am.
the? Yeah.
Ma'am, I have a question on the that you showed just before as a kind of we have a you said that there is a spherical symmetry, but is there really a spherical symmetry? Because what we know from this, like electrons, like moving this around, is not actually a kind of spherical orbit. It could be like a oval-shaped orbit. So, can we
Yes,
take
yes.
a spherical symmetry in this case?
No, so spherical is not just taken when there is a only a spherical orbit. Okay, spherical is also taken when there is the radial distance is what that matters. Okay, so essentially
But
you are going, huh? What?
is it like we are taking an ideal situation, then we calculate later for the actual
No, no,
situation?
no, no.
Is
We
it
are
like
not doing any ideal situation or anything. See, ideal situation would have been when we would have taken any approximation here. Okay, we are not up to this point. There is no approximation or anything over here. Okay, so V of R is properly defined for a hydrogen atom. Okay, there is no approximation there. This is anyway the kinetic energy term, right, from the Schrodinger equation. And this is essentially the Schrodinger equation. So we are not doing anything. The only thing that we are doing is we are changing from Cartesian coordinates to spherical coordinates. And we are doing that because there is,
okay?
right, because
Yeah, yeah,
the
I got it.
electron has a radial distance. So R is, what is R here? R is square root of x square plus y square plus z square, isn't it? Right? That is your radial distance. Okay. So if you take the modulus of r, that is nothing but your root of x square plus y square plus z square, right? So essentially, we have to consider everything in terms of the distance between the electron and the proton. Okay, so if we consider things in terms of the distance between the electron and the proton, and also in terms of the what is the angle, so the electron was here and now it moved here. So there is some angle with which it moved, right? There is some angle that changed. Okay, so because of all of these points, we go to spherical coordinates because it is easier to for us to look at all of these points in a spherical coordinate system because naturally a spherical
Okay.
coordinate system has r, theta, and phi, right? So it is easier for
Yeah.
us to
Thanks.
deal with it in that one. Okay,
Okay, okay, got it. Thank you,
yeah,
ma'am.
yeah. All right. So we'll go to spherical coordinate system and this is our coordinate system, right? So if this is the origin and this is the point P, so let's say our electron is over here and the distance between the origin and the electron is r. And so this is the r vector, okay? And then the vector, the angle that the vector subtends along the z-axis, with the z-axis, that is your angle theta and the angle that this vector has with the projection, right, the projection of this vector onto the xy plane with the x-axis, that angle is called phi. Okay, so this is your spherical coordinate system. Now, does anyone remember what are the spherical coordinates? Like, how would you define the spherical coordinate system? I think we learned it in the previous course, right? Does anyone remember? So what I'm asking you is, what is x, y, and z in terms of r, theta, and phi? Do you remember? Please write down in chats. Come on, take a guess. Try to recall and take a guess and write down what it would be. Come on, someone can try. You guys are Googling, huh? Anyone can Google. I just wanted you to just try and see it and remember. Okay, r cos phi is z. You are kind of correct, but because we have done, right, we are taking it in this manner, so it is r cos theta is z, right? If you just look at this, then you will see that r cos theta is actually z, right? So it's not r cos phi. Okay, so if r cos theta is z, then what is x and y? Rahul, can you guess now? Hello? Yeah, r cos theta, cos phi is x. Del square is 1 by r square. Yeah, r sine, so Rahul is correct. So r sine theta cos phi is y. No. So yeah, I think you had a typo here. So r sine theta cos phi is x and r sine theta sine phi is y. And x is cos phi. Yeah. So Anshuman, you are also right. Okay, so I'll just show you now. Okay, so I just wanted you to recall how it looks like. Okay, so x is r sine theta cos phi, y is r sine theta sine phi, and z is r cos theta. Okay.